Melissa Lott. I am the Youth Service Center Coordinator at the Academy at Shawnee. This is our second show. We had our premiere show 2 weeks ago where we talked about Frisky. We introduced Frisky and what is Frisky and how was it started and our fun. So if you missed that show, make sure you jump on YouTube and check out the show that talks about Frisky, because if you have students in Jefferson County Public Schools, we are here to serve you. Our motto is we do whatever it takes because we want every student to be successful. So if you missed that show, make sure you jump back on and check that out. Well, today's show is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It is the neighborhood place. At the Academy of Shawnee, we actually share a building with the neighborhood place. So when they were looking for moderators to moderate, I absolutely raised my hand and said, I'll do that, because I know firsthand how the neighborhood place benefits JCPS students. So I'm one of the 3 moderators that we have here today. There are 2 other moderators on here if they want to introduce themselves and what schools they're at.
Good morning. My name is Ivory Rollins Cross. I am the Youth Services Center Coordinator at Lyman T. Johnson Traditional Middle School. I want to echo the sentiment that Ms. Lott stated about the neighborhood place, its role in and around our community, and in particular, the students and families that are served by our school are truly blessed by the neighborhood place offerings. And I look forward to today sharing with you and working in partnership with our neighborhood place representatives to share with you what the neighborhood place has to offer.
Lisa, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Lisa Clark, and I am the Youth Service Center at the Phoenix School of Discovery. And it takes a team. It takes a partnership with all of our community resources to help students and families. And so I'm excited to spend an hour today highlighting the great things that the neighborhood place does and how they provide supports for all of our families.
Well, thank you. So we 3 are your moderators for today. As we know by now, we have been pitched a big curveball. Our 2 neighborhood place guests are not going to be able to be on with us. So Lisa, your job becomes more important today because we're going to host that through the chat box. So if I know our neighborhood place people can access the chat box, so they're going to kind of chime in by the chat box. We had a list of questions where we had practiced where we were going to go in order, but we're going to kind of go out of order. So there were Cassandra, she is the director of all the neighborhood places. She was going to be one of our guests. And then our other guest was Paulina. Forgive me, I don't want to butcher your last name, but she was also going to be one of our guests as well. Paulina is at the South Louisville neighborhood place. So we do have one person who was able to get on with us today, and that's Kevin Fields. Kevin, if you can tell us about yourself and what you do at the neighborhood place and how long you've been connected to the neighborhood place.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kevin Fields, Jr. I'm a coordinator of community support with Jefferson County Public Schools. I'm housed at the neighborhood place. And my role is basically bridging resources between the neighborhood place as well as JCPS. So in terms of when the neighborhood place was first created, the 2 positions that were started was the administrator position, the neighborhood administrator position, that's paid through with Metro, and the coordinator of community support in the community support offices, and that's paid through JCPS. And there's a total of 4 of us. So it's myself, which I'm the newest person on the block. There's Ms. Cynthia Crow, Ms. Keisha LeBlanc, as well as Mr. Kenny Boyd. And we do a variety of different services, anywhere from in terms of working with students in the schools, we provide empowerment groups, based off of whatever the different topics that we like to discuss. Our Friskies, we work hand in hand with them in terms of referrals that we get from them from different families. And that could be anywhere from, clothing assistance, food, beds and things of that nature. And we do, so we collaborate with, anywhere from CPS, DPS, LAHEAP. It's, of course, we know that the neighborhood place is a one-stop shop, for the different resources. I'm relatively new, still kind of new. I started back in December, the end of December last year, and was in person for about 3 months, and then COVID hit. So just learned to just be really, really flexible. In this position, you really have to be flexible because it could be one day, we're going about it this way, and the very next day, we're going about it completely different. So it's exciting, to say the least. I'm definitely proud of my team, as well as my boss, Ben Langley, who's an excellent supporter of mine. But it's again, it's a variety of different things. One of I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. One of the programs that I wanted to highlight was the Healthy Start program, and that's a program in which helps young mothers who are have just given birth, and they are able to get different resources for their infant, anywhere from formula, bottles, different things of that nature. Also have the UK TAP program, which basically helps individuals who are court-ordered, as well as have a substance abuse problem. I think that's. Oh, and one thing I did want to highlight before I forget, because I'm still kind of nervous. One thing I wanted to highlight was our back to school programs that we generally do plan every year. I think from mid-July to in August, and that's a community-wide back to school program that was kind of put on hold due to COVID. And that's one where a lot of our kids and families get, a lot of their different resources. With COVID this year, a lot of our schools kind of did their own back to school event, with restrictions involved. So normally, July and August would have been a very, very busy time for us, which it was still busy. It was definitely still busy with a lot of referrals and things of that nature. But that was one program that I was looking forward to being a part of, and I look forward to being a part of it in the future. So with that being said, I think that's all I had to share. Did anybody have any questions?
Well, I know I see Paulina. She was able to jump on.
Hi, guys. I am so sorry. I had a little bit of technical issues, but I got a new link and I'm ready to go.
So thank you very much. We were just doing introductions if you want to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Paulina Mashad. I work with Louisville Metro, and I am located at South Jefferson Neighborhood Place. And how are you all?
Doing well, thank you.
Well, Ivory, if you want to jump right in and ask some of your questions for Paulina, we can do that.
Absolutely. I just wanted to quickly piggyback off of what Kevin was saying regarding their role. By way of Johnson Traditional, Cynthia Crow had been instrumental in serving in the same role as Kevin, in providing inroads and facilitating partnerships between our school and 4-H. They provided several programs in the school and 2 programs for our students and families outside of the school. Cynthia Crowe also provided the same or similar groups that Kevin talked about at our school and at others. And I know at the elementary level, she provides assistance with elementary age needs at the elementary schools for which she is assigned. So I just want to thank you, Kevin, for sharing with us all of the various things that you all do. I know, like I said, my partnership with Cynthia Crowe has been instrumental and very valuable for Johnson Traditional Middle School and formerly when I worked at Butler Traditional High School. So I just thank you for all that you do and look forward to continuing to partner with you in your all's role.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, how are you? It's great to see you, Paulina. We thank you so much for your willingness to be here. I wanted to ask you, based on your knowledge and understanding of the neighborhood place, for our parents and families and guardians that are out there, what services would you like to highlight that are offered by the neighborhood place? And give us an idea of where the neighborhood places are located.
I'm so sorry. I had somebody knocking at my window. As far as services that are offered by Neighborhood Place, we have several. I'll start by saying our first one is Department for Community-Based Services. And these providers provide SNAP and medical services. Basically, anyone who would like to apply for food stamps, childcare, and medical, they are welcome to apply. And of course, right now, because of COVID, we are not running traditionally. So everything is actually done by phone. We do not have any workers on site here right now, but we do refer clients to the 1-855 number for that. So they are doing business as usual, just a little bit different in terms of the in-person, like most of us. We also have Protection and Permanency, who is in this building and in most neighborhood places. That would be also known as Child Protective Services. Of course, folks, this is not a traditional way to get services. Usually it's because, a call comes in and things like that. And so families can meet with their workers here on site. And now they are doing everything by phone. We also have Metro Louisville, which is myself. And we have several programs that we're currently offering. We have eviction prevention services. We have regular financial assistance services. We have a Dare to Care site here. So basically, folks can get food bags. And then we also offer senior commodities. And then there's one other program called SSI reimbursement as well. So that's what we offer through Metro here at most of the Neighborhood Place sites. We have WIC. The WIC services will vary by site, particularly for South Jefferson. We have WIC services on Tuesdays and Thursdays in our building, but most folks can actually call the WIC office and find out what Neighborhood Places actually offers the services at their site. And then we, of course, have the lovely JCPS staff. We have the program coordinators. We have one program coordinator here, and most of the neighborhood places will also have one. And then we have occasionally, depending on their appointment times, we also have JDAC, and those are done through referral process.
Thank you for that. I have one other question for you, Paulina.
Yes, ma'am.
Who can utilize these resources and services that you just mentioned at the neighborhood place? So
all of them except for DCBS, which is your SNAP and medical office, you have to be a Jefferson County resident. But for the Department for Community-Based Services, which is your SNAP and medical, anyone from any county can actually come and utilize the services. That's the only exception. Otherwise, most of our programs are for Jefferson County residents.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Well, I see Lisa over there smiling and shaking her head, which means she's having a whole lot of conversation in the chat. So, Lisa, can you update us on the chat and some of the questions and conversation going on?
Yeah, we have a lot of coordinators right now on the chat. So glad that everybody could jump on. We're also seeing a lot of support for the neighborhood place. I know that a lot of our fellow coordinators have found the Neighborhood Place to be an amazing resource for their family and have really teamed up with them. So we don't have any questions at the moment, but we do have lots of participation.
Awesome. Are there any examples in the chat where anyone has mentioned specifically how they partnered with the Neighborhood Place or how the Neighborhood Place has helped them that you want to share?
Well, I'll go ahead and share my own experience. And that is, over the summer, one of the highlights of my summer is partnering with our Neighborhood Place to do our summer backpack giveaways. The Neighborhood Place does a phenomenal job of pulling in different community partners to set up tables, and then they help us with getting our backpacks filled. And we have this awesome day where there's food, where there's maybe some music or some entertainment, where JCPS has lunch, and our students get the school supplies that they need. And we have them organized by elementary, middle, and high. And that's always such a good time. We have such an amazing turnout. I wish we hadn't have missed that this summer, but that is probably definitely one of the highlights is our back to school bashes and just seeing how we get things done as a team. So we do actually have a question, and that is, where are the Neighborhood Place offices located?
Okay, well, we have a total of 8 neighborhood places, and out of those 8, we have 1 satellite, which is located at Valley High School. We also have a neighborhood place at TJ Middle. We have one at the Northwest, which is at Shawnee High School, and I believe they were under construction, so I don't know if they're quite back yet or not. You would have to double check. We have South Jefferson Neighborhood Place. We are in the southwest part of the county, or Fairdale area. We also have Bon Avenue and Algonquin Parkway, which is Bridges of Hope is on Algonquin, and then Bon Avenue, I believe that's the Park Duval area. So those are just some, but there are a total of 8. So we're all over.
Awesome, thanks. So I'll tell you about my experience while Elycia continues to monitor the chat, and hopefully those people viewing can type in some examples of how you partner with the Neighborhood Place so that we can come back and look at those. But as I stated before, I am at the Academy of Shawnee, which houses the Northwest Neighborhood Place. And my site director is the wonderful Charmaine Smith. I love Charmaine Smith. We have a great working relationship. I've been to Shawnee for 8 years now, and the whole time I've been there, we have partnered together. Some of the things that we do together are like I believe most of the neighborhood places do. We do a back to school jam. We did one last year where we gave out over 1,400 backpacks, which range from elementary to high. We do that every year. It never fails. The line is always around the building, whether it's rain or snow. The community always comes out and supports. So we do that in collaboration together every year. And then one other project that we do together that I absolutely love is we have a prom event, which is called, the Butterfly Effect. And we picked that name because we want the girls to know that it is the beginning of their metamorphosis. So they can come in and they can pick up their dresses, shoes, accessories. One year, someone saw it on Facebook who was a seamstress and donated her time. And she actually provided personal tailoring of the girls while they were there. So we've had that, I think, the last 5 years. So that's a wonderful event that is always well attended, and it's open to anyone. We've had people from private school to public school to Louisville to Indiana. Some more things that we do together is we partner with Fifth Third Bank. Every year they bring their financial literacy bus to Shawnee, and I partner with some of my teachers, and we do it 2 ways. Because the bus only accommodates, I think it's 12 students. Some teachers bring their students down to the bus, and then the other teachers, depending on their class size, Fifth Third sends presenters to their classrooms. So in those times together, they talk about everything from check monitoring to the importance of credit scores to any and everything financial, which is really, really, really important when you're in high school, because you are only a few steps away from being grown, right? And that's that time where you have a job, so you can't live life without a job. And then we do so much together that I'm drawing a blank. But Northwest has been a great partnership. I'm located in the Shawnee community, and when my students need assistance, I just take my students and I walk down to the neighborhood place. I get to bypass the front desk. Thank you. I appreciate that. So that we can get our students back to class. And then I take them to whatever area they need. And over the years, the staff and whatever department I go to have gone over and above and beyond to help my students and their families. So that's just a few ways that me and Charmaine Smith and the great Northwest Neighborhood Place have partnered together. One other thing that comes to my mind is one year we had the Dismiss Charity come in. Some ladies did a panel for us, and it was open to the public, and they talked about their stories and their lives and how they ended up at the Dismiss Charities, but now since being at the Dismiss Charity, how they've gotten a new outlook and how their life has changed. So that's just a few things that we do at the Neighborhood Place at Shawnee. Ivory, you want to give me examples of how you personally partner with the Neighborhood Place?
Absolutely. One of the things that I'd like to highlight, and this speaks to something that Paulina talked about, is the response, the Neighborhood Place's response to the COVID pandemic. I want to sincerely highlight and express true gratitude on behalf of the students and families, both at my school and every school represented in Jefferson County Public Schools, for the swift and intentional response to the pandemic and the global, potentially negative and detrimental effects of the pandemic on our families in our community. Right now, as we speak, one of the services that has been at work since March in the Neighborhood Place in response to the COVID-19 pandemic is called the One Louisville COVID-19 Response Fund. This is a household assistance fund that has been depleted and that was replenished. And now, as we go into another school year, they are working to maintain funding to help another round of families in and around Jefferson County with household assistance for various things. I want to tell a little bit about it so that any family represented on our line and any service provider represented on our line can make the necessary referral to the Neighborhood Place. Louisville Metro Office of Resilience and Community Services plays a role through and with and in partnership with Neighborhood Place to help individuals and families who have experienced the loss of income related to COVID-19. If you are interested or you plan to refer anyone who is interested, please call the number 502-874-5060. That's 502-874-5060. Or if you are already have established relationship with a worker or a service provider in the various spaces that were highlighted at the Neighborhood Place, please make mention of the One Louisville COVID-19 Response Fund. Let them know that you're interested to know more about it, if there are any funds available and you'd like to take advantage. I wanted just to highlight that because these are challenging times, and lots of times people get on a resource like this to hear of present and clear opportunities or ways that they can help themselves. The Neighborhood Place is, just like Kevin suggested, a one-stop shop to help us during these challenging times.
Can I add to that, if that's okay? Yes, I do agree. Neighborhood Place is a huge collaboration effort through many, many different agencies. And I think that's what's really helpful to families, to not have to drive from place to place to have different appointments, which, you know, when families are in need, they're in a crisis, And the last thing they need to do is driving around all over the city looking for services. I wanted to add something to as far as, because we are in a pandemic and people do have financial crisis that's going on right now. We have also a program called the Eviction Prevention Program. I'm actually one of the case managers for this program. And this one does help individuals who've experienced any loss of income or reduction of income due to COVID-19. We do pay rent with this monies. There's also utility assistance with this monies. And I'm going to go ahead and provide a phone number because it's different to the one Louisville phone number. This particular line, they can actually get screened for the eviction prevention program itself. And that number is 502-977-6636. And we have wonderful screeners for this particular program who will actually ask all the questions that we need in order to qualify an individual. And then they will send them an email. They'll go through a process to get the services in a timely manner. And it's been a wonderful program. We've helped a lot of families. So I do encourage folks that if you are experiencing any type of loss of income or crisis, please do call that number.
Thank you, Paulina, for jumping in there.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that number one more time, if you don't mind.
It's 977-6636, area code 502.
Awesome, thank you. And while you just spoke, I'm gonna keep you on the hot plate and ask you another question. So we talked about how families can assess the resources and services at the neighborhood place. How do families know what to bring, what the required documents are, and what's going to be necessary in order to assess the different services?
Okay, so once they connect with the neighborhood place, no matter which site they call, and they can actually call any site that's closest to them because we're not looking at zip codes, they'll go through a full screening process. And at that time, usually followed by, because we're doing everything not face-to-face, so it's a little bit different, we will send an email to a client if they have an active email to let them know what they need to bring. And we'll also tell them that by phone. So we have several different processes in place to help clients understand what documents they need. We also upload a lot of information to their emails. If folks, for example, do not have access to their email, that we have drop boxes throughout the neighborhood places where they can drop off documentation and it will be picked up, and a case manager would actually speak with them and talk to them about that paperwork. So we do a lot of different things to make sure that folks know what they need to bring, and then also connecting them to their case managers or to their neighborhood place.
Awesome, thank you. Lisa, we're gonna jump over there to you. Can you catch us up on the chat box?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have a few coordinators who shared how they've used Neighborhood Place. So we have BJ from Farnsley shared, I've referred several families to assist parents with housing options and emergency basic needs. Great example. We also have Ellen from Valley High School who shared that the South Jefferson Neighborhood Place is located behind Fairdale Tap School, and the annex office is on the Valley High School campus. So there you go, if you have any questions about that. We also have another example, and that is Ellen also said she's used the Neighborhood Place to support families with emergency food via Dare to Care Pantry for high school students to take bags home on the school bus. That's awesome. And Ava, who is our coordinator, who is at Fairdale High School and our TAP school, stated that her Neighborhood Place administrator and staff serve on her advisory council, meaning that those administrators help support her youth service center with identifying how she could spend her money, and also give her advice on what they're seeing in the community that is possibly a need that her families are also facing.
Lisa, I think I want to piggyback off of that, if that's okay. So the advisory council is definitely an opportunity to get involved and stay involved, both for community partners and for students and families in middle and high school with the Youth Services Center. The neighborhood place has a governing body that's called a community council. And if you are listening and you are interested because you have been a former or are a current recipient of neighborhood place services, you can potentially serve on the neighborhood places community council. It is in fact a decision-making body that is formed based on shared partnership of at least 1/3 of the members on each neighborhood places community council must have received or currently receives services. The benefit of this, and the reason why I highlight that, is because there are opportunities for all of you guys listening to actively participate and partner with the youth services centers at your students' schools, as well as actively participate and partner and aid in the decision-making of your local neighborhood place. So that if you have formally been a beneficiary of the neighborhood place and you think that there are tips, there are tricks, there are opportunities to make the neighborhood place even better for those that come after you, please seek to look for opportunities to serve on their community council.
Absolutely. Lisa, is there anything else from the chat box you want to share?
So I'm writing in all of the great resources you all are sharing with us. So that's why I look like I'm.
Lisa, you're on mute if you're talking.
Oh no, so what I was saying is I was typing in all the resources. I didn't want you all to hear me typing over here, but everything that you all are sharing, I am typing into our chat so that our families can see. At the moment, we don't have any additional questions or any comments. Oh, I did have a question. Are the neighborhood places open currently? That was a question that someone asked.
Yes, all the neighborhood places are equipped with staff. We are just not seeing folks face to face. If someone does come to the door, of course, we will assist them the best way we can, but they are all open, just not for the face-to-face contact, but businesses as usual, except that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask, one of you all mentioned LIHEAP. Can you all kind of explain to us what that acronym stands for, just for those of us who may not know what LIHEAP is?
So LIHEAP is the Low Income Heating Assistance Program. Right now, for example, it is a summer cooling program. It is based on income, household size, and clients can call and make separate appointments for that particular program. I'm not sure as far as where their funding stands right now, but I can certainly provide the appointment line phone number. That number is 502-991-8391.
I think Lisa wants you to repeat that one more time for her.
One more time, please.
Absolutely. It's 502-991-8391. And that's for the Low Income Heating Assistance Program, which is now the Summer Subsidy Summer Cooling Program.
Great. Thank you. I'm definitely going to share that in the chat. It looks like Ellen from Valley has a question. And she says, what are family team meetings and how can JCPS FRISC coordinators get involved in supporting families?
I think that's a great question for Kevin. So Kevin, can you answer that question a little bit?
So in terms of Friskies, they, in terms of, hold on, can you repeat that question again? I want to make sure I get the question clear before I actually respond to that as well.
Not a problem. What are family team meetings and how can JCPS FRISC coordinators get involved with supporting families? Okay,
so family team meetings are basically meetings that are conducted with, it could be myself as well as a Frisky and talk about the different issues that may be going on in the home. And it could be anywhere from, behavior issues, school issues with the students and things of that nature. I know as far as when I've participated in the family team meeting, it had majority of the issue was like behavior issues and things of that nature. So, and that's not saying that all of the family team meetings is going to be just mental health. It's based off of, whatever the issue is. I'm just speaking off of my own experience. So in terms of how I've dealt with that, as far as, connecting them to their mental health counselor, as far as within the school. And it could be a thing where, that mental health counselor may not be the actual a good fit, based off of the personality of the student or the family. So I also go outside in the community and find different other resources that could be the best fit for them. So I hope that answer. I know that was a kind of general question. I know I went more specific, but I hope that was a good answer to provide.
Absolutely. If I can just ask you a question and or elaborate a little bit. A family team meeting involves more resources, correct? So that meeting is different than a meeting that they would have at a school with a direct school staff?
Correct. Yeah, so within a family team meeting, I'm only honestly speaking for the ones that I have actually been a part of. My other colleagues, it could have been a different atmosphere and things of that nature. But it can be actually through the neighborhood place as well, because there could be other resources that they're needing, like Paulina was mentioning about, as far as, food, clothing, things of that nature. So it can be based off of the issue of the family. We provide resources based off of that. So.
Awesome, thank you. You were talking about your personal experience. Tell us about an experience where you walked away smiling, where you felt like you had given a new perspective, as JCPS calls it. What's your why? Why do you do it every day?
Me being new, and it was always one of those things where I never necessarily felt like I was doing enough, but I am doing enough. But I can say why I do it. My why is, as I mentioned, we do empowerment groups with our youth that are in these schools, and they're identified by our Friskies, based off of, whether it's their behavior, whether it's their grades and things of that nature. So it was a time where I specified what the word bad actually means. A lot of our kids are labeled as bad or crazy and things of that nature. And I was kind of trying to twist some of these words and to make it something positive. So my why was I had a young man who was having an issue at home, and his mother was fussing at him and things of that nature. And she used the word bad, you can't be acting bad, which and his response to his mother was like, well, I am bad, and there was an exchange, and the mother didn't get why he was saying this, and I basically told him that the word bad actually means that you're brilliant, you're accountable, and you're distinguished. So when you're, and he said that to his mother. So he said, she, just looking like, what are you talking about? Like, who said that to you? And he said, Mr. KJ. I go by KJ. That's the junior. He comes to our schools and speaks to us, or what, things of that nature. So that was my why. That was my why, because you never know with these kids whether you're actually getting through to them. And it's one of those things where that, you know, I had talked about that topic probably 2 weeks before that actual incident actually happened. And it was one of those things that I was glad that that it stuck. So that's my why, you know, in terms of, you know, JCPS, we're all about, you know, providing the best services, the best mentorship for our youth, for our families, for our kids. So that's definitely my why, and I look forward to creating more whys.
Absolutely. Thank you. Paulina, I'm going to ask you that same question. So while you get your thoughts together, I just want to add a little remark. I know my support person at the Academy of Shawnee is Lakeisha LeBlanc. She's married now. So I don't know her married last name. So I'm Keisha. There we go. We're going to stick with that. But, and then I also have Kenny Boyd. Well, Kenny Boyd does a male group at Shawnee where he meets every Friday with a group of 8 to 10 of my students. And I handpick these students. And because Kenny has great experience, the ones I handpicked needed a personal touch. So if you look at the data before the program started and you looked at the data prior to the end of the school year, their attendance was better, their behavior was better. So we just want to thank you all for being a connection between the neighborhood place, the student support services, and the Frisky office. So Paulina, I'm going to ask you that same question. Give us a story that pops in your mind when you think about neighborhood place and your why.
Well, going to my why, I love neighborhood place. This is where I first started when I moved to Louisville. I love what it stands for, providing accessible and blended services to families. I love the opportunity to work with my community to serve in different groups. I love that I can see clients regularly who are part of my community to come in, and rather it's just to ask a simple question, to get some help with paperwork. I just love seeing their faces and knowing they're doing okay and that they can actually count on Neighborhood Place to help them at whatever capacity. Prior to doing the case management for the financial services, we had a program where we worked with youth. I have a great passion working with youth and families. And I think that's what makes me stay. This is what makes me want to come in every day, is having that opportunity to work with families holistically. Rather, it's connecting them to services, having them sitting in my office. You know, they will talk about their needs and different concerns, but knowing that they leave with resources, or even just coming in sad, but then leaving with a smile on their face and feeling confident that it's going to be a better day, that they're not by themselves. This is my why. It's putting a smile on their face and letting them know, hey, we're here in the community. You are not alone in this crisis, and our doors are open, and we're here to serve.
Absolutely. I love that. I see Ivory over there shaking her head, which means I'm coming to you, Ivory. Tell me a story about how you referred family to receive services and your why.
My why is that this is a calling for me. This role I did not intentionally seek out. I was not as familiar with what this job entailed when I took this job. I absolutely believe that based on my faith that I was meant to have this job, and it was not by accident. I tell and share with my families that it is my pleasure to serve them because it's my duty. We are supposed to be in service to one another as a human family. And when I tell my families, when I tell the students at my school that I love them, I mean that. And that love is an action word. So I have to do the things that I need to do in order to best support them in the role that I have. And I'm blessed to be able to do that. Every time, like Paulina was saying, every time there's a smile, every time there is a gain, like you were suggesting, every time there are gains demonstrated by way of data that we collect from the beginning to the end of the year, these further support the work that we do. That is the motivating factor. That's what keeps you going when you get weak, when you get tired, when you get warm. And I'm thankful for that. I also wanted to highlight something else that both Paulina and Kevin mentioned, and that is, as it relates to the neighborhood place, a lot of times when referrals are made from community partners, wherever they may be, to our families that may be watching now or will watch this later, I often hear families say, I didn't know what question to ask. I knew I had a problem, issue or concern, but I didn't know where to ask. I didn't know who to ask. So I just wanted to just real briefly share some overarching goals of the neighborhood place so that any families, any parents or guardians that are listening to this or will listen to this, maybe the overall goals can shift your thinking to know that the neighborhood place is one mechanism, and obviously your youth services center is another mechanism to ask these very broad questions to get your specific needs met. The neighborhood place's goals are as follows: to improve economic self-sufficiency among families who receive neighborhood place services. So whether they've been displaced, whether they are out of doors, whether or not they are hungry and unable, or live in a food desert and are unable to access fresh fruits and vegetables, the neighborhood place services that Paulina and Kevin have identified are services that can help you. Another goal is to improve the health status of mothers and babies who receive services. So as it relates to what Kevin initiated talking about Healthy Start, Healthy Start is an absolute first place to go by way of your local neighborhood place to help improve or increase the gains as a young or expectant mother, to reduce violence within families who receive neighborhood place services. That speaks to what Paulina was saying about opportunities to thrive and opportunities to partner with CPS. Proactive opportunities rather than waiting on a call because someone is concerned. To improve the level of student participation in school among children. Again, the innumerable resources that Kevin highlighted that the 4 persons in his role serve in Jefferson County in partnership with Neighborhood Place, and to provide services to citizens with timely access to health, education, employment, and human services. And that speaks to the one-stop shop that Kevin alluded to. I only highlight this for anybody that may be listening because you may have a need that we have not explicitly articulated, but that does not mean that calling the neighborhood place is not warranted. Calling the number and asking your specific question may well be the first line of defense in getting your needs met. And I want you to be encouraged that there are great people at the neighborhood places that will try their very best to answer those questions, in addition to the representative youth services center coordinators.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ivory. Lisa, I know our time is winding up here, but we don't want to leave without giving you a chance to chime in about the chat. What's going on in the chat?
Absolutely. We have a few questions and some great examples. One of the questions, and I asked this because JCPS families have a variety of income levels. And so the question came up, are there any benefits for families with high incomes limits? I know that may sound like an odd question, but I know that families can fall under hard times. Does anyone want to quickly kind of answer that question? Paulina.
Yes, because of the pandemic currently, we are well aware that our families are going to be from all economic backgrounds, different employment, whether it's low income or high income. So we have looked very deeply into the income guidelines and made some great adjustments so that we don't leave families out. Just because they may have a little more income than usual. So we have made adjustments to try to serve as many families as we possibly can currently.
Wonderful, wonderful answer. And I'll kind of end with our final answer, Paulina, and I believe that you kind of talked briefly about it. What is the partnership between Louisville Metro and JCPS?
So, and there are several things that are mentioned. Of course, with Louisville Metro and JCPS, of course, it is working with families that we have referrals from directly from JCPS. KJ, for example, he and I have had several conversations about ways that we can work together to try to make referrals for families that he's working with or that I may come across. We also partner with the back to school events. I think that was mentioned earlier. South Jefferson Neighborhood Place definitely partners. We've had some fantastic back to school events. I'm sad that we can't have it this year, but we definitely utilize JCPS as much as we can, and we work very, very close together to try to help families in many different ways. And it could be just as brief as me walking over to KJ walking over to me. It could be, for example, I work also with Ava a little bit. I do attend the meetings. I try to stay active to my community school, which would be Fairdale High School, yay. So we do as much as we can to make sure that we are present in our community and that we try to partner as best as we can, especially with JCPS.
Awesome. And Paulina, before I mute myself, can you give me a number to share with our chat members of where they could call if they want to know if there's a neighborhood place close to them?
So they can always call Metro. They can call Metro Call 311. They can also call, there are phone numbers listed on Louisville Metro, ky.gov website. They can call our Fairdale Neighborhood Place. Really, any neighborhood place that they call and find that phone number, they can call. It does not matter where they live, and they will literally connect them to where they need to be and make sure that they get their services.
Fabulous. I have shared that with everyone. Awesome. Really appreciate everyone in the chat for their examples and their questions. I'll turn it back over to you, Melissa.
Well, thank you very much. We just want to thank our guest for today, Miss Paulina. And Paulina, how do you say your last name again?
It's Mashad.
Thank you, Paulina Mashad, for being with us. And thank you, Kevin Fields, for being with us. Cassandra Miller, we know you wanted to be here. We hate that technology threw us a curveball and you couldn't be here with us today. But we just want to acknowledge that. One thing I wanted to do at the top of the show that I forgot to do. Kevin, thank you for being here with us today. You didn't have to be here. We understand you had a death in the family, so we just want to give our condolences. And me personally let you know that you and your family will be in my prayers. But thank you for being here with us today, taking that time aside from your family and pushing through. So we thank you very much. There's an African proverb that says, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a roaring lion. When spider webs unite, they can tie up a roaring lion. And between the neighborhood place and the Frisky and the student support services department that Kevin works with, if all of us can unite, we will be able to tie up whatever roaring lion is happening in your life. Individually, they may be able to push through the one thread that we tie around the leg, but when we unite, we are stronger together than we are apart. Ivory, do you have any last words you want to say? Ivory's shaking her head, no.
No, I absolutely concur with what you said. That was a great proverb to illustrate how we come together.
Thank you very much. Lisa, do you happen to know the topic of our next show for the viewers who are on here?
I don't know the topic of our next show, but I know that we see some people logging in. So I will turn it back over to Kyle.
All right, guys. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do. I had the pleasure of working with Jamie Issis and Michael Shoulders at Moore for a long time, and I believe Cynthia was even there for a bit. And so we thank you for all that you do, for the impact you guys have on the students' lives as a teacher in that building at the time. You're right. There were untold times and stories where I would take some of the saddest things that you could imagine, and they'd come out feeling loved and cared for. So thank you for the work you do for the kids. Well, without further ado, I believe we're going to give it another try, guys. I've got a closing video I'm going to show you. So you guys on this video chat with me will not see this, but the YouTube land here will see it. So I'll play that real quick, and then we'll turn it over to our next guest. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks again for being with us. That was a great outro.